Doctor, before we go, these lower animals that you're talking, is it a psychological definition
like
that
rats.
they are lower than we are higher?
Yeah, it is a biological and psychological.
And this is the outcome of that kind of comparative psychology that you are talking about?
No, because the comparative, when we compare normally, we compare, let's say, cultures. For example, comparative, when you say cross-cultural psychology or comparative psychology, that is where you compare. Why do Chinese drink hot water when it is cold? And why do Gambians like to drink cold water? That's what you're comparing. Could there be some explanations? Because there are four main goals of psychology. That is description, explanation, prediction, and control. The descriptive aspect, you describe a scenario.
And these things happen in stages, one after the other.
Exactly. Control is where, predict where you can predict that if you place children of 13 years outside unsupervised, they are likely to fight and maybe harm each other. You can predict that during Ramadan, you go to Serekunda market, people are likely to be angry very quickly. Why? Because they are hungry. And we know this. This has happened many years ago. You can also, you know, you use some patterns of behavior from experience to predict certain happenings.
But doctor, how scientific is psychology?
Oh, psychology is very
given you use empirical data.
Yeah. It is scientific.
People differ.
Yeah, I'm coming. Okay. But that's what we are interested in more, individual differences.
So there cannot be some standard kind of applicable whatever it is.
There can be. Now, how scientific? I told you earlier that before it used to be intuitive, speculative, and so on. But with time, progressively, psychologists have developed this discipline to the extent that we can study things scientifically and prove or disprove a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a statement that you say that. Absolutely. If you can say that, Gambians are very friendly people. How can you establish that? Then you can
Absolutely.
compare, for example, compare to, let's say, Senegalese. I mean, and being our
this is why I'm saying. This is why I talk about lower.
I'm coming to that.
No, I'm coming. This is why I talk about lower and higher animals. Now, who determines which is higher and which is lower?
Okay, you want to know what makes us
is
higher?
It a product? Is it is that the work of the psychologist?
No. What makes us higher? It's not only psychology. Even in biology, is there. What makes the human being higher? Because our brain, our central nervous system, is much more advanced than the lower animal. For example, you can talk like we are communicating, but the baboon, some scientists are claiming that they also communicate. Of course they communicate, but can they articulate and verbalize using chords and words and so on like we do? No. So that makes us higher. Who invented the computer? Us. And the computer can do work that is more sophisticated than we can do, and yet we invented it. So this is why we are in control. The reason why the human being is in control, survival of the fittest, which is a functionalist theory also in psychology, is because we can control our environment better than the lower animals. You see, the lower animals, we call them lower because they do not have the faculties, the mental faculties that we have. And we have even told that the human being uses only a small percentage of the capacity we have, which we could have used. There are humans who do miracles in other countries.
Isn't that about the extras?
The extras.
Sensory that
yes, unexploited.
Unexploited.
Extra.
That's the reserve.
Residual sensory potentials we have in our brains. So we can do a lot more.
But they say necessity is the mother of invention. You do it when it only becomes necessary.
When necessary.
Probably animals don't need computers. They cannot build a computer.
No, they are
probably at their level.
Their constitution is different from our constitution. We are different. We are higher. We are more sophisticated by nature than the lower animals. We can. How come a lion, a king of animals in the bush, can be controlled, can be captured by a human being, and yet it's powerful and strong because of our intelligence, our IQs are much more. Although you can train animals, like you can train a dog to do many things. Sometimes some people claim that certain dogs think better than even certain human beings. This is where the individual differences come in. Because as human beings, we are different. Even identical twins, same boys, you know, both of them boys, identical twins, when you bring them up in different environments, their behavior patterns may be different because the environments are different. You take one to China, take one to Bujumbura, this one will speak Swahili or something, and the other one will speak Chinese. And yet they are, by blood, they are the same, and they may both be predisposed or intellectually endowed, because intelligence, it is believed, it is partially inherited.
Okay.
Yes, but you have to stimulate it.
It has to be stimulated.
It has to be stimulated, depending on...
it comes dormant? It
can be dormant. You can be intelligent, but if it is not stimulated, you may not apply your intelligence. And of course, by the way, I should hasten to say that intelligence, there are different types of areas now in intelligence. You have the analytical intelligence, creative intelligence. There are people who are practical intelligence, and so on, social intelligence. And emotional intelligence is a new thing that is coming now. In fact, I just gave my students a test on that. What are the pros and cons of emotional intelligence? What are the pros of emotional intelligence and the cons of emotional unintelligence? You know, that's what I mean. If you are emotionally intelligent, you can cope with many situations without having to be aggressive or hostile or to unnecessarily develop emotional stress that will affect you cardiovascularly anyway. That's for example. So intelligence is a broad spectrum. If you give children maths, another example is some people are good in maths, others are good in languages, others are good in other areas, in music. So we are saying that you cannot condemn an individual because he's not good in maths. Like in my case, I could not go to St. Augustine's, but I applied myself and I worked very hard, and I'm better qualified than many who have been to Gambia High School. You know what I mean? In terms of academic.
Okay,
so that is to show you that, again, the environment, a conducive environment, if you are intelligent and the environment is not conducive, your potential may not
really
show as much as if you know what I mean. If you take a very bright child, potentially intelligent, in a very dull environment, then you cannot expect much. Of course, you can see that the boy is bright, but the environment is not conducive or very encouraging. So these are some of the, it's a deep thing. We can talk for 2 days.
So as a psychologist, if you study a certain group of people, what kind of research method do you apply? Because probably human behavior, thinking, you may not want to know how they behave or how they think, but you got to address or do you got to go deeper to know why?
Yeah, oh, thank you very much. I like that question. Very good question. Now, first of all, let me hasten to say that scientific research is where you pose a problem, you set your hypothesis, you test the hypothesis. That is what you use a certain method. You can use the case study method, which is in-depth. You can use the observational method. You can be observing them without them seeing you, or join them, participant observer, and then be observing them from within. You can use the experiment method where you want to know the relations between the cause and consequence, cause and result. So you can use the survey method where you ask people to give you their opinions and to find out what they think about certain issue or a certain issue or phenomena. So it depends on what you want to study. Now, if you want to study how it feels just before Eid al-Adha, this Tobaski coming, not to have money to buy a ram, how does it feel? You want to study that amongst a group of people. Then you go and interview them and observe them. You can interview, you can give them questionnaires and so on. They'll feel it, and then from there you collate your data and you'll find out what, and then you can say that if your hypothesis has been that people feel very depressed or unhappy, that they don't have money, they cannot afford to buy a ram, even though it's coming, because it's a very important cultural festival in the Gambia. That's your hypothesis. You want to prove it by talking to people. If it confirms it, then you say my hypothesis is correct. If it doesn't, then your hypothesis is wrong. You want to look at it again. So that is how you can study.
Doctor, we don't have much time,
and
we will dedicate the last 3 minutes of this interview to your stint with the UNHCR, and you seem to have spent